also think about, uh, oh, here we go. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. You guys will need to think about, the optics, what it should look like, uh, dress, codes, background, all this other stuff. Ready? Here they go. Three, two, one, go. Somebody should do that so that I'm ready to go. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our first um, Lifebahn podcast. And as always, we're going to start with an introduction to keep us refreshed as to why we are doing this and also to introduce it to anybody who is new so they understand what this is all about. So, Lifebahn is a community um, whose mission is to help each of its members succeed in their quest to find prosperity, not just financial prosperity, but also personal, emotional, and spiritual prosperities. It is built on the belief that while competition is a good way to succeed for a few, collaboration is a better way to succeed for the many. Therefore, we collaborate with each other in this community to help each of us succeed in their quest to the best of their abilities and get rewarded in proportion to their contribution to the success of the community. Therefore, before we start, people asking, oh, this sounds like communism. It is not. It's not communism. It's not socialism. It's not any ism. It's the only ism it is humanism. Okay? It's about humanity. Now, we're going to repeat this message each time so that we, all of us, are with the program. Also, you will notice if those of us who either belong to the community already or who wish to join it, that there are three requirements for anybody to join the community. The three requirements are one, that you need to have the belief and subscribe to this notion that competition is good for a few, collaboration is better for the many. That's number one step. If you don't believe that, then this is not for you. Number two, if the community doesn't have anything to offer to you, right, then there's no point in joining the community because it's not going to do anything for you. So no point in joining it. It should be a one-on-one win-win situation. The third condition is that you should have something to offer to the community which should help it succeed, because otherwise, the community is taking advantage of you, and that's not a no no. Again, it should be a win win situation. Those are the only three simple requirements to join to the community. And once we agree on that one, then our behavior will reflect it, and we don't have to worry about protecting ourselves or fear of anything else that somebody's going to take advantage. We will work together and hopefully each of us succeeds. That's the foundation of it. Now, each week, I'm going to talk about a context in terms of something that is happening in the real world to make sure we understand that our current world order, the system, the way the world works, is only beneficial for a few, not for everybody else. That is why, if you look around and look at the statistics, 1% of the people in this world control over 50% of the wealth, which means what? That only 1% of the people are really, really successful. Rest of the people are suffering. That's why we want to change this mindset so that everybody should succeed, and they can. So, uh, if you look around, there are conflicts and wars all over the place. Most recent one, there is a war going on in Sudan. Okay, in Sudan, why are people fighting? Because two groups of generals want to control as much of the resources and the wealth of the country. It's really that simple. But they don't say that, obviously. They telling people that, oh, we need to do help you get democracy so that you will be successful, and we want to make a better country, and this and that and the other. Most of it is just BS. Bottom line is, the people in the army, they want to control as much of the resources for their benefits on both sides. One guy says, oh, he's getting more benefit, and the other one is. So, guess what? They are competing again. There are example after example after example. Now, in the past, over the last, I don't know how many decades, we, the people, we have been relying and depending on other people to help us solve this problem, help us become more equitable, right? And there have been systems such as democracy, which have been used in countries like United States and Europe, and where people have become successful. But the point is still the bottom line remains that we are still in this competition mode. Our mindset is to compete at every level, and that's why we are not making as much progress as we could. Because of the internet, because we, the people, have the ability to communicate and talk to each other and build a community like the one we're talking about, LifeBond, that we have the hope that more and more people will become successful and the misery in the world will reduce somehow. Will it ever get eliminated? Who knows? I don't know. So, the point is that we are building this community to help ourselves rather than rely on our leaders to um, to help solve the problem so that we can be prosperous. It is self-reliance. This is for the reason you I say beware of the man who is looking willing to sacrifice your life for his belief. Sudan, any other conflict, look at it, Russia, that's happening. What's happening? Somebody believes something, and he or she is willing to sacrifice your life for his belief, regardless of whether you believe it or not. Most people agree or believe what somebody else is telling him to believe. Putin, for example, all the Russian people believe, oh yeah, yeah, we have to go and think because uh, the we have to compete with the Ukrainians because they are bad people. The reality is, people in the world are all the same. Only artificially somebody somewhere teaches us to compete. You look at every conflict in the world, and you will find the root is that somebody is using artificial reasons for us to believe. So we collectively, us, we have decided that in order for us to succeed, rather than go and compete with all these people, we are going to build our own community where we can be successful and help each other be successful. Hence, LifeBond community. We started this community very recently, and we have uh, started working on it. And the weekly broadcast here is, in addition to what I just described, is also to give the members the status, if you like, the status of the union, so to speak, as to where we are at, what we have accomplished so far, and what do we need to do. We have this running document, as you all know, the Life Bond story, where it is very transparent as to what this community is all about, how it is being built, and what we have done so far. In the current status, if you want to think about it, we are at a point whereby we I'm going to take a pause here for a minute so that yeah. So the development of the community is a three-phase process. The phase one, like any other community, if you want to think about it, is where you identify the location and you say, okay, you draw a boundary, you say, hey, this is where our community is going to be, right? Here's a community, and we have done that. It's a live bond portal. And within that community, the next thing you do is you have to have some kind of a constitution, a way of, you know, a set of rules and guidelines how we are going to conduct ourselves, and that is part of that document, and it is published. Is, I think we can call it the Constitution. And in the document, the title is the Constitution, which says how this community is going to function, uh, to satisfy the mission that we have described, which is to help each of us succeed to the best of our abilities. That's part of phase one. The other part of phase one is to build the infrastructure where people can do what they need to do in order to be successful, right? You can't just talk about it, you have to actually do stuff. And since this is a virtual community, then similar to the real community, there has to be a colony where people actually live. It's their own space where they can decide what they need to do, how they want to work, and so on and so forth. In other words, the things that they need to do in order to be prosperous. So every community needs, you can call it a residential quarters or a colony where people live. Now, in a community also, you need a place where people can get help, such as a hospital or something like that, of all kinds, not just health, but all kinds of other help. Then in every community, you have to have a place for recreation where people can get together and, you know, let out steam, play games, whatever they need to do. There's a recreation center. So our community will also have that. Then, most importantly, every community has to have a commercial area where people do their work, uh, use their talents and resources to create value, which will generate additional value so they can grow and prosper. You know, there are farmers that create food that they share with everybody else, carpenters that do work, and so on and so forth. In our virtual community, a lot of this is going to be IT work, but there is going to be other things as well. And of course, every community has to have an education center. And our community, just like that, has a portal called Educate where people can learn to educate. We are in this very first phase now. We are building the instruction. We have a managing team of, at the moment, only four of us. Four of us started building the thing here, and you started with one man. It was started with me, and now we are growing. And hopefully, when we are ready, we will invite more people as we need more and more help. You know, over the last few months, we have been working, and we have a great team, and I think we have made a lot of excellent progress. You know, we have the website in place, or we have the components of the infrastructure in place. We are waiting for one more key infrastructure, which is this platform where we are going to use to build our houses. We are going to use to build our various portals like a marketplace. We're going to build our school, our health center, and so on and so forth, where we can function. So that'll be the phase one. Once we have that portal development and management in place so that people can then start actually using it, then we will start populating the community, right? That's when, once you have a place where you can say, oh, we're going to build houses over here, then you invite people to say, hey, invest in this houses or buy the houses, and so on and so forth. Because it's virtual, we don't have to go through all that hassle. Once we have the people working in, then we have to manage this community, make sure it functions and all that. And most importantly, nothing means anything else unless this community can create value that they can share with other people, with the bigger global community, and within themselves, so that they can generate resources that they need to grow, which is how prosperity takes place. So that's phase two for actually getting the population going. And then once we have the community starting to populate, then phase three is which it starts actually creating value and then start generating revenue, resources. That's how we grow. And then we can start sharing it. And that's how people prosper. Okay. That doesn't mean that we have to do these things in a serial fashion and step by step, phase one, phase two, phase three. A lot of these things are happening simultaneously. But I think we before we start populating the place, we need to make sure that our infrastructure is in good shape, right? So this is a very key part. This weekly broadcast is a very key part, so that people know where everything is, what our mission is, how we are making progress, what our milestones are, what have we accomplished, what we need to do, so we learn from it, and how to become more and more successful, so that we can continue to collaborate as effectively as possible. So transparency and being able to talk to each other is really important. So that was the first step, and we are implementing this. And once this is functional, then we're going to start focusing on making sure we get the first infrastructure in place, phase one completed, and then we're going to start talking about phase two, right? I don't think we are quite there yet. So for our next week, our mission is to complete as much of this phase one as possible. Get this broadcast thing streamlined, so we go on a thing here and work on some of the key components which are listed in the document as our to-do list. So and we don't need to go through those lists right now, but that's the item. And obviously we will be publishing that list so everybody can see where we are at. And then the last part of this broadcast should be, and we have to decide how much time we're going to allocate to questions and answers. So let's try that and see how that would work. So I'm going to stop talking now and then take questions that we have. Now, are you guys able to talk from here, or is it just we're done? We can end the stream now, right? Okay. Yeah, okay. Now, Papu, go ahead. Sorry, you were saying something. Oh, okay. So the question is, so obviously, I don't think we necessarily want people to be interrupting or doing something in the middle, right? We have to figure out how long it takes and so on and so forth, right? But once we're done, I think there has to be a way somebody else should manage the chat, so that I can focus on the question and answer, and somebody else can then do something and tell me and say, oh, here's the question. I've seen it done before, whereby somebody's talking and there's somebody on the channel who panels this in and takes question and said, okay, maybe there is a moderator of some kind. I don't know. You need to think about that. How are we going to do that? Or maybe we can say there's no question answer. I don't know. What do you guys think? Now, currently, can we stream or no? Papu, shall I end the screen? Okay, we're going to end the stream and see what it looks like. Your stream will stop immediately. It will no longer be live. Okay, yeah, we can end. Okay. Oopsie daisy.